Matt from the future here to say that I recorded this in portrait because I'm recording it on my iPhone camera because I don't have a webcam, and I've duct taped my iPhone camera to the back of my monitor, but I did it in portrait mode, and it took me a really fucking long time to do it, so I'm not unduct taping it to put it in landscape. So fuck you. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my, 6th or 7th shot at this intro, because everything keeps fucking up. But this is my face, what I look like. Hello, I'm TweeTV. My name's Matt, actually. But, I mean, everyone who watches this already knows what I look like, to be fair, so it's not like a big face reveal. But, anyway, I made this video for a very specific reason. And that is that this morning I watched the TheScore Esports video. This is the setup, by the way. Do I like the mic? Usually I use a pop shield, but I look like a real fucking goof. So I'm just going to try edit out the audio. I'll show you. This thing. It's I usually speak like this. And I want you to know this thing smells like breath. So anyway, yeah, we're not using it today. But that aside, I made this video because I watched the TheScore Esports video this morning about Vocorvo. Now, if you don't know who that guy is, it's fair enough, okay? Most people don't know who Vocorvo is, and it's a good thing, because Vocorvo, well, we're going to hear about him today. But the idea is that he's a 68-year-old Brazilian man with arthritis who plays in iron, okay? That's all you need to know. But what he likes to do is he likes to buy high elo accounts on the Brazilian server. So he buys accounts in Diamond 1 Plus, up to Masters, up to Grandmaster. He doesn't play in Challenger lobbies. I'm pretty sure no one wants to sell those accounts, but he likes to play in these high-low lobbies as an iron player and does what's called reverse smurfing, which is where you deliberately go into these lobbies to try and lose, okay? And he does it. He's got his own mentality about it. We'll dive into it later. But what I'm not worried about Vocorvo. I don't want to talk about necessarily him. I think he's a great guy. He's very funny. Clips of him are hilarious. What I want to talk about is the mentality that what Vocorvo is doing is fostering within a certain community of players. I want to talk about reverse smurfing as an idea. I want to talk about smurfing in general. I want to talk about what Riot can do about smurfing, whether or not it's something that Riot needs to worry about in general. Yeah, and so I've done a bunch of research. I just want to talk about that today. It's definitely not like Mogul Mail, okay? This is TweeTV Mail. It's very different, so. All right, so before we can look at whether or not smurfing is a good thing or a bad thing, we need to figure out, first of all, what is smurfing? Should be fairly obvious to anyone who plays League, but in very defined terms, a smurf is someone who is a high elo player who has come down to play in a lower elo than where they belong, with the intent of anything, all right? So it's just someone who belongs in a higher rank, playing in a lower rank, and generally, the reasons people do it, if it's like Professor Akali, he'll do it for content, so he can, get e-girls to be like, oh my god, you're with me. Some people will do it for ego boosts. RadRL will do it for funny content, but there's a whole bunch of reasons people smurf it, and generally, it's not very good. But the biggest reason that it's not good is because there are 9 people in each lobby who aren't the smurf, whose game is completely ruined. So for the people playing against the smurf, it's just like a fucking one-way ticket to getting to fisting session. Like the smurf will just run around and like reverse fist each hole every direction. Like it's absolutely disgusting what smurfs do in low elo lobbies. And then for the players on the team with a smurf, it's just like having a little man-child scream expletives at you and tell you to kill yourself in various increasingly creative ways, while piss carrying a game, right? It's literally no fun. Particularly like when a lot of smurfs, they have crazy egos in the game. Like it's very miserable to play with and against them. So yeah, it's just not a good thing. 9 out of 10 players in each lobby is not having fun, and then 10 out of 10 players in lobby is just not having a competitive experience. So the big question is given that smurfing is a thing, and given that it happens a lot, everyone that I know has played with or against the smurf at some point in their life, in their League of Legends career, why doesn't Riot do something about it? And the answer is that they have 2 options, right? So the first option they can do is that every time that they see a smurf, every time that someone reports a smurf, every time that there's some sus behavior going on, they can just ban it. They just go, fucking banned. See you later, kid. Which is fine, all right? We'll talk about that. And option number 2 is that they can also lock everyone to only having one account, which is probably a slightly more reasonable option. So we'll start with that one. We'll start talking about option 2. So why doesn't Riot IP address lock accounts? And the number one reason for this is that there are actually a couple cases in which case making a new account is a very beneficial thing to do for a player. So for example, I'm an Emerald 3 top laner. Okay, I play a lot. Actually, I'm Grandmaster. No, I'm an Emerald 3 top laner, okay? My top lane abilities are significantly beyond my jungle abilities, okay? In terms of jungle, I would be low gold, max, okay? It's disgusting what I do in the jungle, all right? And if we're looking at Grandmaster plus top laners and Grandmaster plus mid laners who, you know, maybe they're a little bit burnt out with their role. Maybe what they want to do is switch to like jungle ADC or something like that. What you don't want them to have to do is that on their main account, just be like, all right, fuck it, I guess I'm playing ADC now. And then they will just like piss grief games like all the time, right? You don't want that. You don't want these players to be forced into switching roles on their main account. So what Riot actually wants you to do is if you're trying to switch role in that scenario, they're going to be like, hey, just go and make a new account, climb as high as you can, see if you're like, maybe you're a platinum ADC but a grandmaster mid laner, you know? This is why we have more than one account. That's why it's necessary. So Riot doesn't want to IP lock accounts. But obviously it means that smurfing's possible as well. So that's option number 2 out the gate. They can't do that. Option number 1 is to ban every single smurf. And this, again, I mean, it's just not possible. There's three main reasons. The first one is that smurfing is like very, very hard to detect. And the reason for that is because it just doesn't get reported a lot of the time. Because in League, someone doing well is tied directly to you doing badly. So if your enemy is doing well, right, if you're playing at some Yorick and he's gone 10-0, okay, you have had to go 0-10, okay? So it's very hard as like a reasonable individual to get fucked in lane like that. And then to look back on the game and be like, yeah, he was a smurf. He's just better. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. Some people do it, but it doesn't happen a lot. A lot of the time when you get beaten by someone, it's very immature to like attribute that to smurfing. So a lot of the time it feels really bad to report someone for smurfing. So it doesn't happen a lot. A lot of the time when someone is smurfing, it goes undetected because the players they're playing against just don't report it. And then on the other end of the spectrum, this is the second reason, is the exact opposite. Is that a lot of the time when players just have a shit game, they will just report the enemy. They'll be like, hey, oh Jesus, enemy Shyvana was so good this game. Like, obviously he's smurf. Like, this is a high master player, but it's not. It's just some guy who had a crazy game. And he gets reported, and Riot team's going to look at that and be like, no, this guy goes 0-10 and 0-15 sometimes. Like, he's just not a smurf. It's just not how it goes. So these two things combine, and I mean that the report system is not a very cohesive way of getting a good list of who could be smurfs. So it's very hard for Riot to detect smurfs. And then the third reason, and the hardest reason, is that without this reporting system in place, there's absolutely nothing in League. There's no metric way for you to be able to tell if someone's smurfing or not. And you might think, hey, well, what about good KDAs? What about crazy high win rates? What about someone with insane gold per minute, insane high DPM? It could be a smurf, yes, but it could also just be someone who's playing really well. I went on a 12-game win streak recently. I'm not a smurf, okay? I just was playing insanely well. I was getting crazy KDAs, crazy high DPM. If I got banned for that, it would be a complete disaster. Like, I would be completely miserable. I'd be typing a Riot right now. And there's players like that all the time. There's players like me who'll be in like Diamond Plus, who'll be going on these crazy win rates, having insane games over and over. But they're not smurfing. They're just playing really well. And it's really, really hard for Riot to be able to differentiate those two things. So it's almost impossible for Riot to be able to just banhammer every smurf. So that's why it's a bad idea. All right, so now we come to Vocorvo, who's the reason that I made this video. And we go to TheScore Esports' video on him, which is called Meet the 68-Year-Old Reverse Smurf, okay? Scroll in the comments. See a bunch of stuff. People saying stuff like, I smiled at the rage, honestly. High elo players getting a taste of their own medicine might finally push Riot to do something. Supremely based behavior. Smurfs are scumbags that ruin the vast majority. Blah, blah, blah. I talked about this earlier. I hope other people start doing this. High elo players need to feel what we feel. Not the hero we deserved, but the hero we needed. We understand that smurfing is a thing that exists. We understand that it's like a very scumbag thing to do. It's a very bad thing for the game. Objectively, just a terrible thing. We also understand that there's nothing that Riot can do about it. And we understand that the sentiment in the community is very much that Riot needs to do something about it. And that it needs to be stopped. And these players need to be punished in some way. You can see that from the comments. So the question is what Vocorvo is doing a justified way of attempting to resolve the problem? Or does it necessarily make it worse? And I think you can see where I'm going with this. But the real question behind that we need to answer is, what does it achieve? So the purpose of it would be to punish high elo players, to make them understand what smurfing, is like, and how much it ruins games. And I think the idea here is that, like, hey, listen, people in high elo, they don't have to deal with this shit because they're already in Diamond, they're already in Masters. They don't have to deal with these ego-driven little blue people coming down and ruining their games. Which is a bit of a crazy assumption, because I think the assumption that these high elo players got to high elo without having been a victim of a smurf, particularly given that it's as widespread as people who call for this type of behavior seem to think it is, the assumption that they haven't dealt with a smurf is completely ridiculous. It assumes that this person, when God made their account and called it Sloppyhead 99, right? It assumes that this person was automatically placed in Masters. This is not what happened, okay? Realistically, this person has probably played thousands of hours below Masters. They reach Masters once they're good enough to be in Masters. That doesn't happen overnight. And this likely means that they have dealt with a significant amount of Smurfs. Alright, so given that it's not really teaching the Smurfs a lesson, because obviously they already know what Smurfing does, both as a perpetrator of it and being on the receiving end of it, they've been there, okay? Then there's only two other reasons to be doing this. The first reason is to make it less likely for people who have smurfed in the past to smurf again, because you know they've had a fucking spiritual awakening and they're going to change their ways when Vocorvo, the 68-year-old Iron player with arthritis, comes into their game and starts running it down on crit trundle top. Okay, we'll deal with that. And the third reason, which is valid, is for revenge. Okay, we'll start with the second reason. Okay, do we think, realistically, that it is a logical course of action for any person who has smurfed in the past to get into a game with Vocorvo, who then posts his Twitch stream in chat, plays crit trundle top, runs it down, goes 0-10, and has like a 4% win rate, okay? Do we think it's logical for this Masters player to have their ego humbled to the extent which they never smurf again because they play with this Iron player who like makes them feel angry, and then they realize that, oh my god, maybe I was a shit person this whole time, this is what it's like. No one has a spiritual awakening. They have the exact opposite. If you're going to play with some Iron player who's going to grief you, you're going to go down to the Iron lobbies and grief his whole bloodline. You're going to fuck his whole family. Like, it's going to be disgusting what you do down there. All right? This is not going to help. This is not going to help the situation. Vocorvo is indirectly making it worse for his the people who call him Batman, for the people who think he's the vigilante. All right? But all the little commenters, they have no idea this guy's griefing their games on the master player's behalf. It's disgusting. And so the final thing is revenge. It's the last thing he has left, all right? The only thing he can do. He's so fucking done with League of Legends. He's done improving. He's done trying to get better. He doesn't care. None of this stuff matters to him anymore. The only thing that matters to him is getting vengeance on the Smurf who ruined his silver promos, okay? And it's like, this is a noble goal. This is fair enough. I would also love for Vocorvo to get revenge on this, like, shithole who ruined his silver promos, okay? It would bring me nothing more than the ultimate joy. But I just want you to think about this for a second. Who is Vocorvo getting revenge on? Is Vocorvo getting revenge on the guy smurfing in the silver games? Or is he getting revenge on all the fucking hard-working master players playing on their main account, trying to climb to Grandmaster? Like, he's not dealing with smurfs in the scenario because the smurfs, realistically, in 90% of the lobbies, aren't going to be playing on their main account. They're not going to be in the lobbies that he's griefing. He's just fucking... He's collateral damaging a bunch of people who don't deserve this shit. It's not getting revenge. It's just like going to a shopping mall and shooting people. It's messed up. It's just not deserved. And the other part is that the promos don't even exist anymore. You know why? Because he's been getting revenge for like 6 years. He's been doing it for so long. So if this is your hero, if this is your vigilante, okay, you gotta change heroes, man. Alright? I can understand watching his content because it's really fucking funny. Don't get me wrong. It is hilarious. I can understand watching him for his personality. That makes sense as well. He's a great streamer, okay? I cannot understand watching him as some bastion of, like, the pinnacle of the League of Legends community. You know, go get him, going up to the master players, getting revenge and showing them not smurfing. Like, this is the benefits of not smurfing, guys. This is what will happen if you don't smurf. And smurfing's so miserable. Like, he's not doing this. Okay? Because all the players he's punishing, number one, aren't the people smurfing in his games. And sometimes, when they are, they're just more likely to go back and smurf again. All right? And in the rare scenario in which he somehow changes someone's mind, okay? And this master player has had a ray of sunshine, okay? He's made one person better, and he's corrupted like 10 more people. The other 9 people in the lobby, or the other 8 people in the lobby, are going to go smurf because they've just played with Vocorvo, the Trundle crit top. Disgusting. So yeah, smurfing sucks, all right? That's that, all right? There's nothing Riot can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it, okay? There's something you can do to make it worse, all right? But there's nothing you can do to make it better. And that's just the way it is, okay? It sucks. It's a miserable thing. Until Riot finds some, like, miracle potion, there's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is not be like Vocorvo, okay? I need you to not make the problem worse. Just deal with it, all right? That's the Tweet TV certified advice right there. What Vocorvo is doing is bad. Do not hold him up as a bastion. Do not hold him up as an idol. It's wrong. Don't do it. But yeah, that's that. Bye-bye.